Hi lovely humans, this is what I should be doing right now. This is what I'm doing right now. So, you want to take a trip to China, or you're going to live there, or you live there already and you want to travel a bit around, but you don't know how much it will cost you and you're afraid it will be too expensive and you don't have much money. Well, I will try to help you here. I've lived in China as an exchange student for a year and I've traveled over 15 provinces with a tight student budget. So in this video, I'm going to share with you my tips and advice on how to do that, how to travel a lot in China or just make one trip to China and not having to spend too much money. I will also try to give you some ideas of exactly how much it will cost, and I will put, as always, lots of information in the description box if you want to check it out. Of course, you can travel in China with a more comfortable budget and with more money, but that would be too easy in China. Where would be the fun in that? Because this is a very broad topic, I'm going to make a series out of this.
Can make a religion out of this.
This video will be about where to go and when to go in China. The second will be where to stay, so accommodation and stuff, and where to eat. The third video will be about what modes of transportation to use, what to choose between plane, train, bus, taxi, and then we'll also explain you how to book the tickets and stuff like that. And the fourth video will be about how to avoid scams, how to avoid losing money for basically nothing. But now, where and when to go, destinations and seasons, let's jump right into it. The first thing that's going to impact your budget for traveling in China will be where you want to go. Some destinations, because they are more expensive intrinsically, or just because they're further away from where you are in China, will be more expensive. So typically, to give you an example of how much it can vary, excluding the cost of transportation to go there and to go back from there, 250 euros, so approximately 1,800 renminbi, will last you 3 days in Huangshan, so Yellow Mountains, 3 days in Hong Kong, but up to 2 weeks in Yunnan province. Obviously, visiting a big city such as Beijing or Shanghai can be more expensive, so if you're traveling on a tight budget, you can take this as an incentive to go out of the top tier cities and explore smaller or less known places such as Chengdu, Chongqing, Pingyao, or cities like that. Also look at cities that are close to your place if you're staying in China and that will be less expensive. For example, if you're in Shanghai, which was my case, a day trip in Zhejiang is amazing and will be much cheaper than go, for example, for a weekend in Suzhou. Or going to Yangzhou or Nanjing will be less expensive than going to Hangzhou. I'm always advocating for you to go out of the big touristic cities and to explore really China, to the villages, etc. But you have to be careful, unfortunately, because in some smaller places, less touristic places, they are not used to host foreigners. And why is it a bad thing? Because accommodations, if they want to host foreigners, have to have an official authorization. So in the really smaller places, there could be no accommodations with an authorization to host you, so you could have no place to stay. Or what is more common is that the only accommodations that can host foreigners are very expensive. You have tons of accommodations, but only 1 or 2 of them can host foreigners and they're super expensive. So be careful about that, but I will discuss it more in the second videos about where to stay. Of course, your experience of these places will also be very different depending on when you go there. See that transition? See what I did there? Of course, you will see everywhere that most places in China are more pleasant during autumn and spring. But if you don't have holidays at this time of the year, or just if you want to save money, that cannot be the best option. Indeed, prices from April to around October or November can be much higher. The worst week of the year to travel is the first week of October, the Golden Week. Because of national celebrations, all Chinese people have holidays and so they're gonna travel everywhere. Everything is super packed and overcrowded and all prices are crazy expensive. So if you can avoid it, avoid it. If you still want to travel during the Golden Week, because for example, you live in China and you have holidays, basically all the places I've just mentioned so far are off limit. Yeah, sorry, it will all be too crowded. You have to choose places that are not that touristic all year round. For example, Gansu province, that's what we did. We went to Gansu province for the Golden Week. Or Inner Mongolia or other a bit further away places. Another thing to consider is that Because as I said, the peak season is around April to October. If you really want to cut your travel expenses, you can travel during winter. If you're an exchange student, that will be, of course, also the most convenient because you have a huge winter break. But anyway, it can be a good option to save money. Of course, the landscape will be very different and the weather can be hard to handle, but you will enjoy mostly empty sites, smaller entrance fees, cheaper accommodations, cheaper transportation. Everything will be half the price it is during peak season. Even during the week of the Chinese New Year, which is sometimes between January and February, it will be a bit more expensive than the rest of winter, but it will still be cheaper than during summer or during the Golden Week. Of course, depending on the destinations, you have to check and see the balance between how much you will lose of the experience because you'll go during winter and if it's worth the money you will save. That's up to you. So I'm going to give you a few examples of places you can visit during winter or what places could be better left to visit during other seasons. The very south of China can still be super pleasant during winter. For example, Yunnan and especially the Yuanyuan rice terraces are actually more beautiful during winter, so you can definitely go there. Guangdong province, so Guangzhou and also Hong Kong and other places like that have a very warm and pleasant weather during winter, so no problem. On the opposite side of the country, the north can actually be good during winter. For example, Beijing every winter enjoys a few days or even 2 weeks of perfect blue sky with no pollution. So you can't predict when it's going to happen, but when it happens, it's awesome. Also, cities such as Pingyao, Datong, Xi'an, or provinces like Sichuan, Shanxi, all of them are kind of built, are conceived for this kind of cold weather. So even if it's cold outside, you will not lose anything in the experience. Snow can actually make it more beautiful than it is during the rest of the year. However, places such as Wuzhen, Hangzhou, Shanghai, like all this part of the country, all the little water towns around Shanghai will lose their charm during winter. Because their greenery is a huge part of their assets, you will not enjoy them as much during winter. But of course, all of these are my own opinions, so this was the first video of my series about traveling in China on a tight budget. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment. You can also contact me on social media and see you around for the next video. Bye!